What makes Goldie Roger so special? This may seem like a very bizarre question, but let's actually dissect this for a second. Well, it is being king of the pirates, right? But then again, what makes being king of the pirates so special too? Is it the wealth, the fame, and the power? Because there are several other pirates in the One Piece world who already have all of those things in abundance. So then again, why be king of the pirates? And to me at least, the answer is pretty simple. Freedom. As Luffy says, being king of the pirates makes you the freest person in the world. But this freedom that the show talks about is different. It's a different type of flavor of freedom, if that makes any sense. One which can only be analyzed from a biopolitical level. Hello everyone, my name is Big&Blue, and today I'd like to discuss how I think being king of the pirates is reminiscent or similar to being a Homo sacer. Before we begin, let's discuss what even is a Homo sacer. So just to be clear, I'll give a very bare bone example of what it means to be a Homo sacer. I won't give the full analogy because that'll take way too long. All resources I do take come from Jojo Agamben's book, Homo Sacer, Sovereign Power and Bare Life. So, to put it very simply, being a Homo Sacer in Roman law basically meant that you lived outside of the law. But that's putting it way too simply. Being a Homo Sacer meant you also lived underneath the law itself. Any political right you may have is stripped from you, and all you have left is your bare life. Under these circumstances, killing you wouldn't even count as murder, since in their view, being a Homo Sacer meant you don't actually have any rights. Anyone can simply murder you and no legal repercussions will come their way. Moreover, this also applies to a religious standpoint, as being a Homo Sacer means you can't be sacrificed. Now in Roman life that meant sacrifice to the gods, because as a Homo Sacer, your sacrifice would not bring any religious benefit. From here, we can begin to see a small connection between the world government. The world government and the celestial dragon systems are very dependent on the weaponization of bare life. The celestial dragons have shown in several instances that they hold the right to strip down anyone to their bare life, and this mainly takes the form of turning them into slaves. We also see this in Wano. As Greenbull explains, since the Wano people live outside of their jurisdiction, they hold no political right, and therefore Greenbull could simply slaughter all of them if he wanted to and get away with it. However, I do think this level of biopolitics is far more interesting when intersected with the pirates. Pirates are by nature criminals, and therefore live outside of the law. But even then, I would not say that every pirate is a Homo Sacer. Because yes, most pirates do live outside of the world government's laws, but they still exist in their sphere of influence. They still play their games under their rules, and there are several examples of pirates who have been able to re-establish or increase their biopolitics. There was Django, for example, who even though he was a pirate, he was able to join the Marines. Does anyone remember Django? Or you could point to the 7 Warlords of the Sea, pirates who were able to strike a deal with the world government and reap all of the benefits of being a pirate without any of the consequences. But even then, I would argue there's a massive difference. As a pirate rises up the ladder, their status as Homo Sacer becomes more established. And once you become king of the pirates, that status is more realized. Which makes sense. Once someone becomes king, their biopolitics changes completely. They're no longer just a pirate, they become a symbol of rebellion itself. And once you've reached that point, your outlaw status is definitive. There is no turning back. The world government will now view your existence as bare life. And we see this in the story. Any pirate trying to currently climb the ladder can be killed by anyone. Marines, bounty hunters, and they won't receive any punishment for doing so. Okay, but here's the thing. If you have been paying attention, you would realize there's a massive plot hole in this discussion. That being the topic of sacrifice. Under its own definition, a Homo Sacer can't be sacrificed. And as we all know, Gold Roger was sacrificed. Now back then, it usually meant when it came to religious purposes, but even so, the point still stands. But even then, I might argue that this contrivance may be seen as a strength. Because when you really think about it, what are sacrifices? Sacrifices are made for one simple goal, to achieve a certain end. This goal can be accomplishing a certain action or conveying a new message. And it's pretty clear that the world government hoped to sacrifice Roger to re-establish their supremacy and hopefully reduce piracy. But instead, Roger used that opportunity to create a brand new pirate era. In that moment, Roger wasn't sacrificed, he was immortalized, allowing his legacy to live on through others. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I've made all the points I wanted to make. But before I end this video, I'd like to address one final thing. When I began this discussion, I started off by asking the question, what makes Roger so special? The word special implying a gift, something good, something to be envied over. But, as we've explored, having a bare life is nothing to be envious over. It is one of the worst ways to live, a type of existence you only wish you could escape from. But in the context of the One Piece world, what is there to escape back to? A system of total military hegemony? A system which only benefits a ruthless aristocratic class? A system in which your own biopolitics could be reduced, changed, or just straight up destroyed on a whim. And I think that's the main point I'm trying to drive here. One Piece is one of those worlds in which having your bodily rights be part of the world's global legal framework is a lot more horrifying than simply being without it. And I think that's what makes Gol D. Roger and the position of King of the Pirates so special. Unlike any other person in the world, being King of the Pirates means the world government has lost any legal right to you as a person. And yes, that may seem horrifying at first, because you now have to live as an outcast, and the only person you can rely on is yourself. But, on the other hand, you're now free to do and believe whatever you want. In other words, what made Gol D. Roger so special was that unlike most people in the world, he was free. Thanks for watching.